I've been making short films and skits for the last 7 years, and for the most part, I've had extra hands around able to help me put them together. But sometimes I was short-handed, and I had to put these films and skits together totally by myself. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I do that from pre-production all the way through post-production. What's up everybody, my name's Nate Killian, and if you're new here, would love for you to consider subscribing. That way you and I can continue to grow as storytellers together. And if you're not new here, welcome back, homies. So if you go through this channel, you'll find a lot of different short films and skits that I've made totally by myself. And if you watch some of my other videos, you'll find some shorter sequences that I also put together by myself. And this is not me bragging saying like, oh, I can do this all on my own. It's really just that I wanted to put something together and no one was around to help me out. Ideally, I would have extra hands around to help me because I could get more creative with the stories I'm telling, but sometimes that's not the case. So I was able to develop a system for making short films by myself, and that's what I want to share with you today. So my first step is number one, taking inventory, either before or after I come up with an idea. I run through what I have available. You know, what gear do I have? What locations do I have available? What kind of lights do I have? What is my gear capable of? Personally, right now, I'm shooting with a Sony a6400. I have a 16 to 50mm lens, a 35mm lens. I have a couple tripods. I have a GorillaPod. I have a Ronin SC. I have a ring light. I have 2 mini aperture lights. I have a couple of audio sources. I have this studio office space that I'm filming in right now. And I have my entire apartment. So after I take inventory, I'll move on to my idea and my script. And really the script is based on what's available, going through that list of constraints that I just came up with by going through, what do I have? I actually have another video that gives you 6 different tips on how you can come up with different ideas for your short films and skits, and I'll list that above and in the description below. But really the script is based on what can I do right now with just one person and with the gear I have? What can I do to achieve the story that I'm trying to tell? And I try to work around those constraints. If I had an idea ahead of time, what can I use that I have available to make that story come to life? Or if I didn't, and I go through my list of all the stuff I have and I go, oh, I could make something with this. So once I have an idea, I will type that up and turn it into a script. Screenwriting and learning how to write scripts is an entirely different world that I'm not going to cover in this video, but if you would like me to cover it in the future, just throw that in the comments below. And once I do that, once I finish my script, I will go through my script and I'll create a shot list. Now my shot list is pretty simple. It'll say, all right, right here I'm thinking medium shot, close-up shot. We'll go wide here, slow pan, slow push in here, stuff like that. Or sometimes I'll do a storyboard. And my storyboard is really simple. I will literally just doodle what I want the shot to look like, and that way when I get to filming, I can have a picture in my head of, okay, this is what I was thinking this was gonna look like, and I'll go off of that. But for the most part, I really just use a shot list. Again, planning your shots and the types of shots you should use is a whole other world. If you would like me to make a video about that, you can throw that in the comments as well. So once I finish my script and once I finish my shot list, that's when I begin filming. And that's where, for a lack of better terms, the magic happens. I know, I said it. I said I wasn't gonna say it, and I said it. Moving on. So here's what I do. I will film through my script in chronological order unless there's a special occasion, which I'm gonna talk about in a few minutes, so stick around for that. So what I do is I run through that script and I run through that shot list, and here is how I make filming myself a lot easier. So once I have an idea for what that shot should be, I'll set it up, I'll frame up my camera, and I'll step in front of the camera, and what I do is I use my phone as an external monitor. So Sony cameras have a really cool feature where you can use your phone as an external monitor, and I can see everything that my camera sees, and I can even control my camera from my phone. So I'll check the framing of the shot. I'll see what I need to adjust. Do I need the camera to be higher or lower? Do I need to stand in a different position? Does the camera need to be tilted up or down? And I'll just make those adjustments. And once those adjustments are made, I move on to lighting. How can I light this shot to make it look better? I typically try to use just one main light source for each shot. And the reason for that is pretty simple. The more lights that I use, the more work and more adjustments I have to make between each shot, and I spend more time on each shot. So I do try to pick shots that only really require one light, but if I do need more light, I'll use these mini aperture lights. I can make them any color I want, I can control them with my phone, and I can put them anywhere I want. So that's how I set up basic shots and lighting. But one thing I do when I'm actually recording and filming is if I'm filming a movement from multiple different angles, I'll try to do the same movement the exact same way for all the different angles. That way, when I cut from shot to shot, it looks the same. There's continuity. Like in this sequence right here, when I'm walking from the closet over to my desk, I did everything the same turn, the same walk, the same sitting down every single time. That way, it looked like it all matched. Moving on to audio, I personally use an external audio source like this Tascam. And since I don't have anyone around to, operate a boom pole and hang that mic as close to me as I possibly can, what I'll do is I'll just hide my Tascam in the shot. So for example, in my most recent short film, this shot of me opening the closet, I just put the Tascam in the closet so I can get clean, crisp audio without even seeing it in the shot. You can also do this with your phone. You can just use voice memos on your phone and record audio there if you don't have an external audio source. I'll do the same thing when I'm filming any dialogue. I'll place that Tascam as close to me as I possibly can without seeing it in the shot. That way I can get cleaner, crisper audio, which actually leads me back to our special occasion of when I wouldn't film in chronological order. So if I'm filming dialogue, and that angle has multiple lines. So for example, in my last short film, when I was talking to my future self, the side of me that's not a hologram had multiple lines throughout the film. So instead of going back and forth from one angle to another, I just read all the lines from that side, and then I moved on and shot the other side. This just saves a ton of time, and it's gonna save you continuity as well. You don't have to worry about things being in different places, the camera looking any different, the lighting looking any different. You can just get it all right then and there, and then just edit it the way it should be in post-production. Moving on to movement. Personally, I think having movement in your short films and in your skits just increases your production value if you're able to do it and if the shot calls for it. So when I put movement in my short films and my skits, I'm really intentional about it. I don't just throw it in there to throw it in there. So there are two ways that I add movement into my shots when I'm filming by myself. The first way is that I do it in post-production, when I'm editing. Since I shoot in 4K most of the time, I can scale in on a lot of my shots without losing quality. So I can add a slow push in or pull out by adjusting the scale keyframes on my clip. I can even add a slow pan left or right if I wanted to as well. This is just a really simple way to add a little more life into your shots. The second way I do this is with my Ronin SC. So what's really cool about the Ronin is that when my camera is mounted to my gimbal, I can actually set tracking points and adjust how long it takes for my camera to get from A to B, how long it will stay at each point, how long it'll take to get from each point to the other point. So for example, with this shot, I timed out how long it would take the camera to move, and I tried my best to match it. And honestly, sometimes it takes a couple tries to get, but personally, I think it's worth it. So that's pre-production, actual production, now moving on to post-production. So the first thing I do after I dump all my footage into my hard drive and then I put it in a bin in Premiere Pro is I go through all the footage in chronological order the way that I shot it, and I will line up the clip with the audio. I will pick the shot that I liked and I'll drop it in my timeline. So that's what I do to start. I'm not really focusing on trimming the clips and getting the pacing right. I really just want to focus on getting the right shot with the audio lined up. So once I have all the shots and the takes that I like laid out in my timeline, now I go through and I start trimming and I get the pacing right. This is also where I'll add any keyframes like a slow push in or pull out or pan, etc. Now the next two steps kind of depend on what I'm putting together, but then I move on to color correction or sound design. Typically I'll start with sound design. This includes sound effects or soundtrack, or editing and cleaning up the audio that's a part of my current clips now by using the audio tools in Premiere Pro. So sound effects are definitely important. They will really immerse your audience in whatever you're making. And you really should have sound where you would expect to see sound. Like if I'm opening the closet door, I should hear the closet door open. If I'm putting a cup down on the table, I should hear the cup hit the table. If I see you doing nothing in your kitchen, I should probably hear some sort of ambient noise that would resemble a kitchen. So I start with sound effects and then I move on to soundtrack. And for me, soundtrack is huge because soundtrack is really what's going to be setting the tone or aiding the tone of my film or my skit. So I'll go through my royalty-free music library. YouTube has one of these in the Creator Studio, and I'll pick songs that aid the tone. Am I trying to build suspense? Am I trying to make it feel sad? Am I trying to make it feel happy? Is it intense and dramatic, or is it lighthearted and funny? And based on that, I'm gonna pick a track, and really it just relies on my discretion and your discretion. What do these songs make me feel when I hear them? Are they gonna communicate what I'm trying to communicate? And finally, I move on after sound design to color correction. And I personally don't go too crazy with color correction. I start off with a basic S curve, bringing down my shadows, upping my highlights, and really just making my footage not look so flat, really making whatever I shot pop. And then depending on the tone of the film, whatever I'm trying to communicate, I'll adjust different tints and shades and colors. You know, if it's sad, maybe a little more blue. If it's happy, a little warmer. If it's evil, maybe a little green, stuff like that. And color theory, again, is a whole other beast that I'm not gonna cover in this video, but if you wanna see it and you wanna learn more about color, leave it in the comments below, and maybe I'll make a video about it in the future. And then, the final step is I watch my short film or my skit 3,000 times. For real though, I watch it like a million times just to make sure I got it right. Or, you know, and then I'll export it and I'll watch it another 3,000 times just to make sure I really enjoy it. And most of the time I'll watch it, and when you watch it fully put together on a bigger screen, whatever it is that you do, personally I like to just watch it on full screen. I'll probably end up making some changes, and I'll go back and I'll make some last minute adjustments. Maybe I'll add more sound effects in, maybe I'll take some out, maybe I'll adjust the audio. Yeah, pretty much it. That's my process on how I make short films and skits by myself. And this is kind of a follow-up video to one of my older videos on tips and tricks on making short films and skits by yourself. And I hope that this was helpful for you. So if you found this helpful, if you like this video, give it a like. That way I know you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And if you haven't already, would love for you to consider subscribing to the channel. That way you and I can continue to grow as storytellers together and tell better stories. My name's Nate Killian. Thanks for watching this video. Keep telling stories, and I'll see you in the next video.